I made a comment to Tracy the other day that I didn't know what to talk about. Not because there's nothing to say, but because I keep watching the news and I find myself wanting to say something about the news. And when I think about all the things that I want to say about the news, sometimes what what wants to come out sounds like despair, or in another moment what wants to come out sounds like some kind of righteousness. But Tracy, who was very wise, heard me out and said, just talk about compassion. If you talk about compassion, you can say most of it, which is pretty good advice, I think, all the time. So I thought today we might take a moment to go through the chant of boundless compassion. We read this sometimes here on a third Tuesday, but we never talk about it. It's one of my favorites. This chant first came to me through the practice of takuhatsu, which is when we make alms rounds as monks. We go into the city and we carry a bowl and we chant, and people come and they put money in the bowl, or they put rice in the bowl, or sometimes a gift card in the bowl, whatever anybody wants to offer. But we're chanting this, and it's very loud, it's vigorous. We walk down the street really fast. We chant in front of maybe a storefront, for example. And if someone comes out within 3 chants, great. If they don't, then you bow and you just go on to the next one. And you can cover a city this way, fanning out and just almost shouting this chant about compassion. So for me, it has all of this energy in it. It's the kind of thing that you chant not just 3 times the way we do it here, but hundreds upon hundreds of times until you don't have any voice left and you're exhausted, and you all sit down on the ground and you share something that somebody donated, just to just to have the energy to get back to the temple. It's really an interesting chant. It doesn't sound like anything else we do. And if you have your sutra book in front of you, it's on page 15. This translation, I think, came from the great Vow Zen Center in Oregon, but I'm not sure. It's a little unconventional. And the first line reads, absorbing world sounds. Absorbing world sounds is their translation of Kanzeon. And Kanzeon is Avalokiteshvara. So the first line is really Avalokiteshvara. But Kanzeon is observing the sounds of the world, observing world sounds, which they tweaked to be absorbing, which I think is so interesting, right? I think to bring in this feeling of permeability, this feeling of being receptive. But whether we say observing or absorbing, it's so important to our understanding of Avalokiteshvara, of the Bodhisattva of compassion, that she has this kind of first position where, whether she's sitting or standing, she's allowing everything in. She's noticing. Often this is translated as hearing the cries of the world. Avalokiteshvara, in maybe her most basic job, just doesn't push anything away. Everything comes in. I can't tell you how many conversations I have had in the last 6 months about how to get away from all of it. Should we be reading the news less? Should we be thinking about it less, talking about it less? Maybe we all need a break. I think maybe we should be looking at our phones less. But that's not the same as saying that we should tune this out. Avalokiteshvara does not tune it out. Ever. Absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here. In the simplest terms, the first lines are Avalokiteshvara Buddha. Where there is Avalokiteshvara, there is Buddha. Where there is compassion, there is enlightenment. Period. That's the stance of this chant. That these two things are not separate at all. This Buddha, the source of compassion, this Buddha receives only compassion. We should really pay attention every time we hear anyone defining Buddha. Because as we talk about almost every single time, this tradition is asking us to arrive as Buddha, to sit as Buddha, to practice as Buddha. And if we only come to that with the idea that Buddha somehow means wisdom, or some sort of all-knowing seeing, or whatever our fantasy is, we can miss this piece. Buddha is compassion. It is one of the most basic and most profound stances of Buddhism and Buddhist teachings. That if you really see things as they are, if you really look at things as they are, then you can't help but see with the eyes of compassion. What other lens could you bring and still hold reality as it is? So this Buddha is the source of compassion, and this Buddha is the one receiving compassion. It isn't inside, it isn't outside. The subject and the object are the same. The container and the thing inside it are the same. It's just compassion all the way down. It says Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Just compassion. Whether we talk about awakening and the principle of awakening, say that is compassion. That is Buddha. Dharma is reality. And it's what we understand about reality. And in both cases, that's compassion. And Sangha is all of us. And not just us, but all of us. It's all beings. It's community by every definition of community. It's being with others, which means being with suffering, which is compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus, it says, thus the pure heart always rejoices. I like this line because it challenges me a little bit. For all the celebration of compassion in this tradition, for all the noisiness of some of the ritual, there isn't a whole lot of talk about being happy in that kind of basic smiling way. And here it says, everything is compassion. And the Buddha is compassion, and the Dharma is compassion, and Sangha is compassion. Reality is compassion. Therefore, the pure heart is delighted. It always exists in this place that is soft, not resisting others. It always exists in this place that is safe. We read Universal Gateway, and the message over and over again is that whatever danger comes to you, whatever danger you face, if you meet it with compassion, the story changes. Thus it says, the pure heart always rejoices. And then, and there's so many exclamation marks in this chant, I love it. It says, in the light, recall this. In the dark, recall this. I hear these lines differently at different moments in my life. But when I looked at them today, I read them in a very simple way. That when things are easy and when things seem good, we should not take the privilege of that to forget this basic principle. And when things are not going well, and we don't feel this so easily, we don't notice this so easily, and it doesn't seem as if the world is compassion, we have to remember it then too. Again, this is the theme of Universal Gateway. There is no moment when compassion is not the right response. None. If we look at every moment in politics, when it feels like things went really, really badly, it always involves a person or a group or a country deciding that in this particular moment, actually compassion is not warranted. Actually, compassion is not at the center, and we should work from something else. That compassion is something we should reserve for those moments when it's easy. But we should put it aside when things are hard. So we're told, in the light, recall this. In the dark, recall this. Moment after moment, the true heart arises naturally, because that's what's there. If we just notice, if we just pay attention, we don't have to cultivate this. We don't have to create this. We notice this. We notice there is a part of us that already is with the suffering of others. We notice there is a part of us that is soft, that isn't resisting what's coming in supposedly from the outside. There is a part of us that already can listen and wants to listen and hears. We don't always know what to do, you know. I don't. So much of the pain of this life is being vulnerable in this way and then being left holding the bag, thinking, I don't know how to respond. I hear this suffering, I see this suffering, I feel this suffering, and now what? But that too is the burden of Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara has 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes and reaches out in all directions. And we might want to say that every single hand is holding just the right implement, just the right tool, and reaches out at just the right moment and does just the right thing. But I think in reality, it's more like 1,000 hands going through a toolbox like this. What if it's this? Maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. Moment after moment, the true heart arises. Time after time, there is nothing but this. This compassion. This boundless compassion that is pre-existing and whole and available in every single moment of every single day, not from outside, but here, always. And when we don't feel that, in the moments when we can't find that, our job is to go looking for that. I think about people I trust. I think about leaders I trust. None of them completely, ever, as much as I would like to. But without exception, that trust goes to people who at least indicate that they want to work from this place. They might not speak of it in Buddhist terms, they never do. They might not use the word compassion. In fact, they almost never do. But when I see that someone is curious about another person's suffering, I trust that. When someone is curious about the suffering of someone who is different from themselves, I trust that. And on the reverse, when I see someone say, that doesn't interest me, that person's suffering is not my concern, compassion is not warranted today, I don't trust that. There's no way around that. There's nothing in that that points back to this. So we come back to basic principles. When we feel hard, we have to figure out how to get soft. Zazen is good for that, but listening is good for that. Slowing down is good for that. Notice the part of you that wants to put up a wall, or that wants to turn away, or that wants to reject that person over there, even if what they're doing is abhorrent. Notice that part, and then notice you don't actually need that part. Whatever you need to do next, whatever has to be done, it can be done without that. It can be done from this place, this soft place, this generous place, this open place. In the light, recall this. In the dark, recall this. Time after time, there is nothing but this. We should probably be chanting this more so we don't forget. That's where I'll stop.